In this video, I'm going to describe 5 fitness mistakes I made that I wish I knew sooner. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Adrian McDonnell. I'm a full-time online health and fitness coach. I've ran marathons, been on Ireland's #1 health and fitness podcast. I've also competed in bodybuilding. I've coached over 700 clients living across 5 different continents. And if I didn't make these 5 mistakes, I'd be much further in my transformation journey. Number 1 is that carbs make you fat. So I used to go home from college after every weekend. My mum would have a big dinner there ready for me. I used to get the potatoes, good old Irish, and literally put them aside. I would not eat them. The only time I ever ate carbohydrates was post-workout. I wouldn't have porridge in the morning. I would never eat rice. I would rarely eat potatoes because I thought they would make you fat, and I would not touch bread. And I probably was like this for, I'd say, 2 or 3 years. And then after I ran my first marathon, that was when I did my first ever proper bulk, I would say. And when I was doing the bulk, I realized I wasn't going to be able to be doing this from just having protein and foods that are high in fats, because my calories were 4,000. That's when it increased. I started eating more rice, I started eating more potatoes, I started eating my family dinners more, I started eating more oats, and I gained muscle, I gained mass, I gained size. And then all of a sudden I'm like, carbohydrates do not make you fat. Eating too many calories does. So personally, what I do now is I cycle my calories using a high-low method we use with our clients. On my harder training days, like a leg session, for example, or a really intensive condition session, I would have more carbohydrates because my body will need them more. And then in lighter or more active recovery days, I reduce my carbohydrate intake because I don't need them as much. But carbohydrates do not make you fat. Eating too many calories does. And the best thing you can do, I believe, with your carbs is to eat them based on activity. So for example, for more intensive exercises like hard strength training, increase your carbs. For less intensive, like cardio or incline walking, decrease your carbs. Number 2 is thinking that the more you sweat, the better your workout is. So I used to wear a Garmin watch, and I also got a chest strap. And I would not leave the gym, no word of a lie, until I burned at least 700 calories. I don't know what it was with that number, but I just said, unless I burn 700 calories, I will not finish my gym session. I've then come to realize that the more you sweat, it doesn't necessarily mean the better your workout is, because the whole purpose of lifting weights, particularly strength training, it's not to burn calories. Strength training, the purpose is to build muscle. And if you look at any of the most elite lifters in the world, if you want to really maximize your performance, you need to rest adequately enough between sets, especially for big compound lifts. So the way I personally train now is that during my strength workouts, especially for big compound lifts, I would rest anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes. This means I'm not cracking up a sweat, my heart rate's probably at 50 or 60 beats per minute. But what I am doing is I'm focused on progressive overload and getting stronger. Then if I am doing cardio, sure, it's fine to sweat, but the purpose of a strength session and the purpose of a cardio session are 2 completely different things. Do not mix them up. So do not chase a calorie burn in your workouts. It was something I did for a few years. Focus on getting stronger by lifting weights, and then focus on improving your cardiovascular fitness if you want, by doing your running, by doing your treadmill, by doing your walking. So a mindset shift I made with the purpose of lifting weights is to get stronger. It's not to burn calories. Chasing the calorie burn is actually one of the biggest mistakes I made, and I see a lot of people make in the gym. And that's why these boot camps of Joe Wicks and these HIIT workouts, sure, the feeling you get afterwards, absolutely all for it. But a lot of people who do that style of training, they look the exact same way 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, because they're not actually focused on progressive overload and getting stronger. So basically, long story short, lift weights to get stronger. If you want to do cardio, do that to improve your fitness. But don't go to the gym and lift weights for the purpose of burning calories. That is not what muscle building is about. Number 3 is that training fasted is better than training fed. So I used to believe that if I didn't eat before my workouts, that I would burn more fat because I'd be using stored fat rather than stored carbohydrate as my energy source. Now, the process of whether your body will use stored fat or stored carbohydrate as your fuel source, it depends on your metabolic flexibility. So some people, for example, they actually do work better off having fat as a fuel source, particularly more endurance-based runners, whereas other athletes, they perform better from using stored carbohydrates. However, in the grand scheme of things, if fat loss is the goal, it doesn't really matter if you train fasted or if you train fed. Personally, my recommendation is to train fed from the perspective of improving your performance, because carbohydrates are your body's preferred energy source. And until above roughly 70% of your max, that's when you want to tap into your carb source. And that's why lifting weights, doing intensive training, especially doing plyometrics, doing power work, I do not recommend training faster for the purpose that you want to actually be explosive, you want to be powerful, you want to be as strong as possible, and having enough energy before your workout can certainly help. With that being said, I know some people, and myself included from time to time, I will train fasted. If I do that, what I will do is I'll make sure that I'll eat a higher carb meal the night before, so I can use some of those carbohydrates for my morning workout. But generally speaking, training fasted and training fed, it's down to personal preference. One is not necessarily better than the other, although performance-wise, I would recommend training fed. Number 4 is that free weights are better than machines. So I used to go through a phase where, because I really look up to athletes and NFL athletes, and they'd only be doing free weight exercises. So anyone who uses machines, I would say like a leg press or a leg extension or a leg curl, I used to be complete anti-bodybuilding, think that's a complete waste of time. In reality, maybe if sports performance is your goal, which I certainly like, there might be like a lot of, would say, reason to do more, would say, just free weights and functional movements. With that being said, like your body doesn't know the difference building leg strength if you did that through a barbell back squat or you did that through a leg press. Generally speaking, for muscle building, I actually think that using machines can be better for hitting muscular failure, whereas I do recommend using free weights also, but the problem is it can be harder to hit failure, so I actually recommend both now. Free weights aren't necessarily better than machines aren't necessarily better than free weights. Research does show there's not much difference in both in terms of muscle building, so personally what I like to do is I like to do a combination of both. More of my compound list will come from free weights, but that being said, I do like doing isolation exercises like calf raises, bicep curls, leg extension, hamstring curls, using machines. And number 5 is that training abs gives you abs. So I used to really look up to Cristiano Ronaldo when I was a teenager, and this guy obviously is absolutely jacked. So what I used to do was, every night I used to do 3-minute planks, I used to do crunches in my sitting room. In reality, it was like, where are my abs? They're not really shown. That's when I started realizing more that your abs, yes, like training them directly can help, but if your body fat levels are too high, you're never going to see them. So sure, you can do your crunches, you can do your planks, but you need to eat in a calorie deficit effectively to see your abs. The shape, the tone, the definition you have, that will be impacted by your strength training. But training abs without controlling your nutrition, you're never actually going to see your abs. So there we have it. There are 5 fitness mistakes that I made when I was growing up. If you're watching this video, learn from my mistakes and you will be further along in your transformation journey. And if you found this video helpful and you want to see more like it, be sure to hit subscribe and I'll see you in the next video.